Hey, this is Cameron with iPropertyManagement.com, and today I'm going to do a quick walkthrough and review of Avail's tenant screening services. The first thing we'll notice right off the bat is here in the corner that they are part of the Realtor.com network, so they are backed by a big name, which means that we can most likely trust them and trust that their service has had a lot of resources put into it. Also on their website, they do not mention the cost of the tenant screening service. I can tell you that it's $55. So now we're going to take a look at the application process and the reports, and we can decide if we think that the price is worth it. So the first thing you'll do is actually create a landlord account. Then you'll add your property that you're renting out. And then once you select your property, you'll come to this page where you can choose which questions and information you want to be on the application process. And then you can also choose which reports that you want included. Now, we recommend you should include all three of these reports. As a landlord, you want the most thorough tenant screening possible. You can click Request Application here. Then you have the option to include a message to your applicant. You have to put in their name, and then you can choose to have the application link either emailed to them or texted to them, which is always a nice feature to have. Then we'll see this email application request. So we'll go ahead and click this to start the application. We get this nice welcome page. And we come here and they will tell us what we are going to need throughout the process. No impact to your credit score, which is always nice to know. You can share your application with other landlords. And then they need to create an account. I'm just not a fan of having 5 or 6 screens and this process to create an account before they even get to the application, because the more that you make your applicants click through from screen to screen, then they're more likely to get annoyed and just decide to click out. Now, overall, I'm not going to show you every step of this process because most of it is pretty similar to all the other application processes you see. I will point out a few things. I do really like that they have several of these free-form type questions. You'll see that throughout the process. Here they can talk about their pets, government-issued ID, any co-applicants. So I've skipped over residence history and work history because all of that's pretty much the same on all other applications that you see. Here they ask for yearly income, and then like I said, I like these free form questions. Add any additional details about your income. They can also put in their proof of income and any other additional documents. So Avail doesn't have a paid income verification report. This is the best that you're going to get where the applicant uploads their own information. So I'd always recommend that a landlord should still follow up with the applicant's employer to verify all of this information because it is possible to fake some of this online. Next, we come to a page that should be standard on all applications, but unfortunately isn't. It's kind of the negative sort of questions. Do you or anyone else smoke? Bankruptcy, felonies, evictions, pay rent. And then I love when they offer this free form, because there's a chance you could be missing out on a fantastic applicant if you just say, I'm not going to have anyone with a bankruptcy, but perhaps it happened 6 years ago and your applicant had a really good reason for it. So I really like that they get a chance to explain themselves here. Next, your applicant will come to this page where they will see that it's going to cost them $55 in order to apply to your property. Now, this is paid by the applicant, so it won't affect your pocket. But unfortunately, you're going to have applicants that are going to say, you know what, there's 3 other properties I'm looking at, and those ones use tenant screening services and only charge $35 to $40. So unfortunately, you may have some applicants who just decide to just not apply to your property at all because this number is so high. Okay, after your applicant pays that $55, then they have to put in their Social Security number, they have to answer a few verification questions, and then you will get a notification in your email and in the members area in Avail that you have a new application that you can look at. So we actually paid to have a tenant screening report pulled for a real person so that you could get an actual look at what the reports look like. And then, of course, we did redact some information here for privacy purposes. So first, we'll see that they use the TransUnion, I believe it's called a residence score. And TransUnion actually claims that this score is 15% more likely to predict evictions than an actual credit score because this number only takes into account factors that are actually pertinent to a renter. Now, when we come down here, we'll see they have a really nice interface, really nice looking reports here. We'll first see credit usage. Then they actually give a little kind of description, like So this person their credit usage is here in this yellow. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So here, looking good. You've got available credit for any emergencies. Aren't getting yourself into too much debt. Like payment history is saying historically great. Now this is great for new landlords. They can get a little bit of a sense of like, okay, here's how this applicant is going to look compared to other applicants. We'll come down and we'll see age of accounts. We'll see any inquiries that this person has, derogatory marks. Then we'll come down, and unfortunately, this part isn't as good looking, but it's still, pretty straightforward. You can see a summary of basically all their debts. The only thing that I would really draw your attention to is I like when they have the monthly payment, so then you can use that number to calculate a debt to income ratio, which is a much better indicator than rent to income ratio. We come down here, and then now you can drill down into each of their different open trade lines. Scroll down, we get another summary of derogatory items, past due items. We can see this applicant doesn't have issues with any of that. And then we'll get an address history, past employers. So far, it's fairly standard in comparison to other reports, even if this one is a little bit nicer designed than most others. But then now we get into some kind of extra things that not all tenant screening services have. Fraud indicators, any public records having to do with any debts that are folded up into any legal issues, any past inquiries. They do have the sex offender criminal records, which is nice to have. The Office of Foreign Asset Control criminal records. Most wanted state specific. They do mention the state specific here. I did confirm with their customer service that they do provide nationwide criminal records, so it's almost like this is in addition. I'm not sure why that specification, but just wanted to point that out so you're not worried about that once you come to that point. And then a pretty standard eviction report. No eviction proceeding records found. Now, there's a lot to like about Avail's tenant screening services. Of all the tenant screening services I've reviewed, they are one of my favorites, and I think they're one of the best options on the market as far as usability and customer experience and the thoroughness of their reports and just how many reports that they give you. In fact, I think they give you pretty much every report that a landlord should actually want. I also like it with Avail that you can customize the application so you can get exactly the information that you want. Unfortunately, they have one major con that I mentioned before, and that's the price. You can get similar services, maybe not quite as beautifully designed, but they'll cost you $20 less or cost your applicants $20 less, and that's incredibly important because many applicants aren't going to want to pay $55 to apply to a property, especially when many other tenant screening services are $30 to $40 a piece. Overall, my review is that the service is fantastic and one of the best I've seen. I really like it, but I would only use it if you're in a sort of luxury area or you're confident that your property is going to grab enough attention and people are going to like it enough that they're okay paying the $55. Okay, that's the end of my review. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.